Yo everyone, I'm Rich, welcome back to the channel. I've been using the Samsung Galaxy Tab A7 Lite for about 6 months now. I thought this would be a great time to give you guys an update on how this device is doing. This is a very budget-friendly tablet aimed at those that want a small tablet that's good enough to browse the web, watch some videos on the side, and maybe play a few games here and there. So after 6 months of use, the A7 Lite still remains one of the best, cheapest tablets you can get on the market. For $159, I think this is as low as you can get. I can see this tablet being in the hands of like a 5-year-old, someone that might not need the intense speeds that are found on today's flagship tablets, or to someone that's just generally interested in getting a super cheap tablet for around $150. Well, in this video, we're going to take a deeper dive into its design, the performance, what it does great at, and what it doesn't do great at. So I'd appreciate if you hit that subscribe button. We talk all sorts of great tech content here in the channel. You're going to be here for a great time. And go down in the comment section. Do you have this tablet? Are you looking at owning one? Do you have any questions you want to ask me? Just tell me more. With all that being said, let's get on with the review. So starting off with its design, the size is perfect for casual users with a variety of different hand shapes, as I can hold this tablet with just one hand. I like to think this is like a bigger phone sometime. Now that Tab A7 Lite is rocking this metal back and has a satin finish that feels nice actually. It does a pretty great job minimizing fingerprints and grease on the tablet. I don't necessarily feel dirty while using this over time. The shell feels very sturdy and clean. All of the buttons like the power and volume rockers are located on the right side and the press is very firm. I don't think they feel bulky. If anything, it's very lightweight. The A7 Lite weighs in around 371 grams, so as you can see, they can be enjoyed for very long periods of time without it burdening our arms. The tablet comes with a USB-C charging port, which is great. It allows for fast universal charging. The speakers, mic perform relatively well, giving us a good enough sound. Once you cross that 50% speaker volume mark, I think tablets, mids and highs, start to creak and screech a little bit. Don't expect really great speakers coming out of this device. It's gonna work well if you're gonna watch some videos here inside or just need something to play with sound. If you go to the max volume, it starts to get a little screechy. Other than that, the A7 Lite's 8.7-inch display is rocking a 1340 by 800p screen, which looks fine in most situations. That's technically not 1080p, so when you get really close to it, you can see the pixels, and this is coming from someone who's used to living in high resolution. I'm used to seeing 4K monitors, smooth 120Hz screens. The Tab A7 Lite isn't gonna have any of that, and I understand. Then again, that's not what this tablet was made for. One of the things I will say is that the colors are very vibrant on this device. Watching movies and videos on something, say like Netflix or YouTube, really shines on the A7 Lite. The higher contrast on the screen definitely does make up for a low res screen, so I will say if you are scrolling across social media, maybe you see some nice pictures, they're going to look a lot more lively. If you're someone that wants a better display, I'd consider upgrading to the Samsung Galaxy Tab A8 because of that nicer and bigger 10.5-inch 1080p screen. I think the difference is very noticeable. The colors and vibrancy are richer on the A8, the display is much sharper, your games, movies, and shows will look much better in general, but let's get back to the A7 Lite. Anyways, with the max brightness of 315 nits, I found myself staring at my reflection more often than I liked, especially on a day when the weather is really bright outside. So how is that low-powered 8-core MediaTek CPU doing? Well, I can say that it's doing alright. Powering this laptop from shutdown takes a little bit around a minute at most, and logging onto apps can take a few extra milliseconds. The animations shown as you scroll across the user interface isn't always the smoothest. I found that it actually usually stutters or is slow at getting around the menu. It feels kind of choppy. I would stick to web browsing, media playback such as Netflix and YouTube at the most. Getting on those apps first and foremost can take a few extra seconds. My old Galaxy S7 phone from 2016 actually performs faster than this tablet. So if you're someone that already owns a smartphone, from any price point, maybe $1,000 to maybe a $300 smartphone, it is going to be faster than this. The A7 Lite struggles here a little bit more. Be prepared for a few hitches and slowdowns when it comes to games. As long as you stick to simple games like Cut the Rope, Temple Run, or any of those nice ones, it'll run just fine. But when I try to play Call of Duty Warzone on here, Asphalt 9, it started to get very hard visually to play because of that choppier frame rate. The graphics don't look nearly as nice as another device. But let's talk about the camera real quick. Samsung only provides very few details about the cameras of the A7 Lite because they're not the tablet's flagship, alright? The selfie camera has a resolution of 2 megapixels and the main camera with 8 megapixels. Both can record videos at a maximum of 1920 by 1080p at 30 frames per second. Unfortunately, the A7 Lite is no exception. You can't expect great photo and video quality from this tablet. Pictures taken with the selfie camera are blurry, noisy, and lack contrast. The main camera delivers a better picture quality, it shoots relatively sharper pictures in better lighting conditions. However, the photos show very few details, and it's particularly noticeable in zoom shots in generally dark picture areas. They're often overexposed or underexposed and lack almost any dynamics due to its flat colors. In low light conditions, the camera finally surrenders and can only capture blurry outlines. If anything, I found the camera to be most useful if I needed to use it for an emergency backup for web calling, over Zoom or Skype. But other than that, I wouldn't use it at all. I'd rather just stick to my smartphone. But one of the few areas A7 Lite does pretty well in is its battery life. It actually has a pretty long battery due to the low power usage coming from the CPU. I can leave it out for a few days without having to charge it, and more specifically, the battery can last up to an average of 9 to 12 hours through my test. And actually, this is one of the few Samsung devices out there that definitely meets its advertised battery life. All these manufacturers nowadays are talking about how their devices get up to like 15 to 20 whopping some hours, and we know that's not always true. Most of them always fall short between 2 to 6 hours of what they say. And that also includes other Samsung products as well. So I'm not just saying that Samsung's great, but just this tablet in general, it does meet its advertised battery life. But of course, if you game more often or use this a lot for media consumption, the battery life is going to drain much faster. I did a combination of playing some games, checking social media. I used it for Waze for map directions when I'm driving a little bit. So the A7 Lite still managed to hold the battery life pretty well. All in all, the Samsung Galaxy Tab A7 Lite is still going to be your most basic tablet yet. Samsung gives us the best Android tablet experience they can do, priced at the $159 budget. I like the design a lot. It looks more premium than it actually should sometimes. That's great. Using this without a case feels super premium, feels light. The weight is evenly distributed across the entire machine. When I used it for media consumption, it does an alright job. I'm able to do what I can with it. It's just not the fastest tablet out there. And like I mentioned, this is good enough to use for map directions, maybe like Google Maps or Waze. You can hang this up on your car because it's really compact. At this price point, I would personally consider getting the Tab A8 for around $60 to $70 more. You just get a bigger tablet and better performance in general. But hey, if you're really set on getting the A7 Lite, I've seen this go as low as like $69 sometimes, and that's honestly a steal. Tell me what you think. Do you have the A7 Lite yourself? Are you looking at getting one? If you have any questions, just feel free to drop them down below. I'll try to answer your questions. Maybe someone else will. Just get that comment section going. But yeah, that's all I got for the Tab A7 Lite. It's a pretty good tablet, really cheap. I'd recommend this tablet to maybe a parent who has a really young kid who's not quite ready for a phone or an iPad just yet. Anyway, that's all I got for today's video. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hit that like and subscribe button, and until next one, I'll see you then.